a guess as to who's leading. But there are some trees that have grown up over the years, which of course suitably preserved, and those are blocking a lot of the view. I do believe I can see an 8, but we have had a couple of crews came back to Putney. A German crew from Munich came to get its steering fixed because they were in serious trouble. They could not steer as they went up to the start. So they will be late up and they may come out of order. But looking through the trees, I do believe we have a first crew in sight. So they'll be down with us very, very shortly. Then the fun starts with the binoculars, trying to spot who's where. So just to give you a final view down the river, everything is calm here, there's an air of expectation, and we have a large number of people watching the river. I'm just trying to clear the phone so I can see what's going on. So a large number of people waiting to see what's coming down, and they're all looking up the river expectantly. I can definitely see 2 boats now. Definitely see 2 boats, and we'll soon have a look to see who's in the lead. It should be Oxford Brooks coming down first. It's unlikely that Leander will be able to overtake them. However, there's a very good chance that we'll be able to judge the gap because they were close together as they went under Chiswick Bridge. Rory, can you see through the trees?
Indeed. Thanks a lot, Matthew. I can't yet. They're on their way. I'm just about to see the first crew just pulling round opposite Fulham Football Club now.
There's a crew with yellow shoulders. This is Brooks.
That's definitely Brooks.
This is Brooks coming down through the trees now. They look to have a distinct gap. In that case, they will have pulled away from Leander because they were very close at the start.
It's a very strong crew, Matthew. I think having the Caversham athletes in the boat.
Yes. Both the first 2 crews from Brooks and from Leander are full of the Caversham athletes who will be our international representatives.
Definitely.
And this is the Brooks crew coming down past Barn Elms and now towards the Imperial Boat Club. They do look surprisingly smart. There's the thing, isn't it?
They do. I think a big thing to note is that the Leander Club crew lost 2 of their athletes only 2 days ago.
Yes.
So I think this definitely has a big thing. We can see Harry's taking a relatively tight line towards us down this line of boats here.
I'd say he's slightly far out. The Leander crew looks slightly closer to the Black Boy. The course down this river is always fun to watch, especially as we're talking to a cox.
Indeed.
All the oarsmen know exactly where they want to be. All the coxes know where they have to be.
So we got Ollie Wilkes stroking that 8.
And they're going down at 38, 39 now, and Leander are giving them a chase, but they do not look quite as powerful. And they've had to plunder Leander B, so this crew is also at risk from the Oxford Brooks crew B that's chasing them.
Oxford Brooks B is getting very close behind this Leander A crew, definitely.
Yes, they've definitely, looking at the start, I'd say that Brooks A has pulled away from Leander A, and Brooks B may even have caught them. It would be interesting to see. They have got intermediate times on the website at Hammersmith. It would be interesting to see what the gaps were there.
Definitely, we got Jamie Copus, lightweight men's double in the 2-seat of that Brooks B8 heading past now. They're sitting also up, 38, 39, maybe even higher going into the line here.
Well, with Jamie Copus in the boat, the rating is never low towards the finish, is it?
Not wrong there.
And here's Leander B coming down, crew number 4. Now they look much more cohesive. This is the club's first 8 in essence, the ones who are not at Caversham. But they've lost 2 of their guys into the first 8. So definitely. This shows a really strong squad, because that is a very nice bit of rowing as they come down past us. I hope you're able to see this on the screen. But if you look at the rating there, that's a very smooth 37-38. And then behind them we have Molesey, crew number 5, who actually look far less cohesive, surprisingly less cohesive than the Leander crew. But the gaps look to have been maintained, because Molesey, of course, are now leading the 3rd of the Oxford Brooks crews that are in the top 6. I mean, what an amazing result to have that many crews in the top 6. But here we can see that the 3rd Oxford Brooks crew coming down. This looks to have a much higher rating. They're really giving it some as they come past Imperial.
Yeah, this is the top academic boat from Oxford Brooks. This is the one entering the academic pennant. Nice, decently sized gap between them and
that's Imperial Day.
Imperial College.
There'll be a bit of noise below us as Imperial come down, but that Brooks in the university event. So this will be they're aiming for the fastest academic crew. I hope you can hear the
over the side of the Imperial athletes
as they go past their own boathouse, and they're followed by Newcastle, who you can recognise with the stars on the back of the beards. They'll be coming down, but it's all getting close here. And you can see there's a gap between Brooks and Imperial, a gap between Imperial and Newcastle, but behind them you've got London University, who will either Newcastle have dropped back or UL have gained on them.
Definitely, I think UL have got 3 returners of their Prince Albert winning 4 from last year, so it's definitely a strong crew in that boat.
So the chances are they've caught up a bit on Newcastle, and then you've got Leander C chasing them down. This is the Thames Cup squad.
Indeed.
So this is a proper club level crew.
We do have to mention we've got Morgan Bain and Williams coxing this boat straight out of Caversham. Put down in the commentary notes as overqualified for this boat.
As long as it's not overweight, nobody minds, eh?
Indeed,
then there'll be another Brooks crew coming down. So there's.
Indeed, we've got Thames Rowing Club coming down now. There's a bit of a gap between that Leander crew and this Thames crew, followed closely by the next Brooks crew coming down after them.
Thames have overtaken by the looks. Oh no, is there a Brooks crew missing then? Because there should have been a Brooks crew ahead of that Thames crew, and there wasn't. But there's a Brooks crew.
The rate's definitely looking a bit low in that Brooks crew following them.
That's crew 11. They've been overtaken. So Brooks 11 have been overtaken by Thames. That's a really good row from Thames. And to overtake a crew and to be going that far ahead is, unless they started out of order, that's very encouraging when you're racing down the river. And as an oarsman, it's great to have someone alongside you to press away from. But they have pulled right away from the next Oxford Brooks crew. This is Oxford Brooks E. There's so many, it's hard to spot them. This is crew number 13.
There's a lot of crews
Oxford Brooks E. They had a magnificent entry. And they're coming down and they're being chased hard by another Molesey crew, and then behind them another Thames crew. So Thames are looking very powerful in the club 8s.
It's a very close batch of 3 crews this.
Yes,
so we've got crew number 13.
That's the Brooks E crew, followed by Molesey, who's crew 14, and then Thames, who's crew 15. And Thames are chasing them all the way, which is helping Molesey catch up Brooks. And Brooks have pulled away from the line of the Black Boys, so they're out of the favoured stream.
Yeah, we just see the Thames. The Thames and the Molesey crews just starting to bang the boat, coming into the final. 400 metres, 350 metres now.
And then I don't know if you can see on screen, but as the crews go down, they race all the way to Putney Pier, and it's an embarrassingly long way from the clubs down to that pier. You suddenly think you've run off the end of the world. But after that, they then have to go through both Putney Bridges and Wandsworth Bridge and then turn and come back up. And here's another Thames crew. This is crew number 17. That's Thames C. They're getting a big shout from Thames, which is next door to Imperial, so you get more background noise. And they've had a very lonely time on the river. They've pulled away from the crew behind them, and yet another Brooks crew. But they've got nothing in front.
If this is Brooks number 16, then Thames might have done another overtake.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, you could be. Yes, it is Brooks. They've overtaken. You're right. They have. They've overtaken Brooks. The Lee have just swerved to avoid the Black Boy. There's a crew coming down here in bright orange, which you'll be able to see in a short while, and they have just done a very very hard manoeuvre to avoid running into the biggest lump of wrought iron you wish to see on the river.
Do you want to take a bet whose heart rate is the highest in that Lee boat right now, Matthew?
I think I know the answer to that one. So the Lee rowing down in orange, they're normally a very strong set of competitive crew, but that will have cost them dearly. Most of the oarsmen won't be aware of it just yet, but the cocks keenly. And they're being chased by Newcastle University as crew number 19.
Followed by Tyne Amateur Rowing Club. Again, like a club that we sometimes fields the fastest 8 ever, or we tend not to see at all. Great to see them making the trip down here.
And it's a long journey for them, but it's good to see them here, and it's good to see another bit of tidal rowing.
Yeah, definitely.
And then they, of course, come from their bit of tidal rowing, and then Tideway Scullers School, who should be the next crew down.
Indeed they are.
Are actually on this bit of river, but their clubhouse is up at Chiswick Bridge, so they've just come from their clubhouse down to here in the race. If you like pink.
TSS wearing some bright pink tops. I think the women's squad at TSS wear bright yellow, a bit like the Brook squad. So
yes.
yeah, the men have pulled out the fluorescent pink for today.
And
followed by
Nottingham University are there, and then Exeter University chasing up behind them.
And then just a mess
with
of boats.
Quintin on the far side. Quintin have been overtaken by Nottingham and Exeter. And then that's Durham University chasing Exeter down the course.
We've seen some incredible results from Durham so far this season. They took the win at Academic 8 in Bucks Head. Definitely a really strong crew, new coach,
absolutely.
Will Fletcher.
And they will have an overlap by the time they get to the finish, as the first of the overseas crews comes down. This is Cork in their green and white hoops. So Cork Boat Club, that's the first of the international crews. They must have had a finishing position from last year. They haven't overtaken anyone, but they've pulled away.
There's a big old gap after them.
That's a big old gap. So there's a huge race ahead of them with those three crews from Nottingham, Exeter and Durham Universities all squabbling over the university trophy.
Indeed.
Sadly, they've got Brooks to compete with as well. And then they've pulled away with Cork from a huge gap. The next crew we're expecting is Agecroft, but this crew is blue. It's Quintin. Is it not? No.
We could have Imperial College B.
Oh, it's ICB. Sorry, yes, my mistake. That is Imperial.
Yes, we can tell from the sounds underneath us.
Yes, suddenly the balcony becomes a lively place. So they've overtaken Agecroft. Thames have also overtaken Agecroft. And then behind Agecroft, City of Bristol have closed the gap.
We've got another big bunch of crews here, all chasing down that Imperial boat.
Yep, so Imperial leading the way, then Thames, who are flying, Agecroft, who've had a very torrid time, and they've now got pressure coming on them from City of Bristol as well, and
London Rowing Club, I believe. 31 London Rowing Club.
So London have done really well. They've overtaken Bristol as well to get on terms with Agecroft.
That London crew are definitely making some big shifts into the final 400 metres here.
As they go past. And City of Bristol, they're bringing up the rear. Now, the first of the junior crews, Radley College, the only school that's actually in the men's head. All the other schools seem to have gone off to a training camp, but they're making a fist of it, although London with the light blue shirts are just starting to row through them. That's London B. So they've had a really good race all the way down the course, which will have helped Radley enormously. Bless them, they always have the red hats on.
Yes, indeed.
Upper Thames, the first of the Radley were the first of the juniors. Upper Thames, one of the upriver crews up on the Henley Reach, and then Vesta. So you'll just hear a bit more noise from just down the river because we're seeing a big shift
from Vesta this year. We've got 7 crews racing for Vesta.
Yes.
An incredible showing. Followed a bit of a gap for the next UL crew.
And UL with the full purple.
Indeed, followed then by Bristol University, one of the AllMarkOne sponsor clubs here.
And then we're expecting Marlow and Dublin. And it is Dublin in their black and white hoops, who are just overtaking the Marlow Rowing Club A crew on the outside. So that's Dublin University nearer to the boat houses, just managing to row through Marlow Rowing Club A on the far side. Now we were expecting Münchener, the first of the German crews, to come down, Münchener Ruder Club from 1880, but they came down here with a problem with their steering, so they may not be here in order.
Indeed.
Then we're going to be followed by Ruder Club Zurich.
Indeed, coming down in the Pembroke College Oxford boat.
That's right, yes.
You can tell from the bright pink canvases.
And they've pulled, so Münchener we haven't seen yet, so they're obviously going to be out of order. Ruder Club Zurich have been, we've got Triton, so USR Triton, Utrechtse Studentenvereniging, it's something like that.
Yeah, this is a development crew. Yes. And we see them just sitting in behind Edinburgh, I think.
It's TCD. It's UCD. UCD with the yellow tips. So University College Dublin with the yellow tips.
Yeah, and then we've got Edinburgh right in front of us, who have made some big moves there. Crew number 46 overtaking crew number 43 and 42.
Tritton, yes, they've dropped back. And then we've got two scullers crews having a battle royal. Except one lot isn't scullers. They've got scullers blades. So that is crew 41. That's Ruder Club Zurich with scullers blades, racing scullers with scullers blades.
Followed closely by the next Vesta crew, number 45. Coxed by Emily here, taking a decent line. I mean, it must be pretty tough in the wash of all these boats in front of her. But apparently the stern four has 62 years of rowing experience, whereas the bow four only has 19, Matthew.
That's rapid learning for someone.
They said it would be surprising if stern four had learnt to row by now.
Absolutely. So this should. That's Henley, isn't it?
We got 47 Henley Rowing
Club. That's Henley Rowing Club.
Followed by 48 Thames Rowing Club with Don Hickey in the bow seat.
Henley have held off the Thames Challenge from Thames E all the way down the course. That's a good row from the Henley crew. That's Henley Rowing Club A. Good to see them with a few 8s out again. And then we're expecting Radley, but Durham University are coming first. They've overtaken the Radley crew.
Yeah, the Durham second crew. 8.
This is Durham B. They're also in the university event. And then behind them you've got
then we've got the Radley crew underneath.
That's in the red and white half blades. So they've overtaken the schoolboys, and behind Radley should be.
We've got a big gap after that Radley crew.
So Radley have, although they've been overtaken, have made a good fist of this. They've kept going, and they've pulled away from two other crews.
We should be waiting for KCS Wimbledon on their way down, and then Bristol B.
KCS are normally blue and red blades.
Indeed, so I believe they're on the outside, and then Bristol are just coming down on the inside now.
Bristol we'll see University.
Them. Just looking at that Radley crew coming down now, they're definitely tucking in. The wind's really picking up around this finish section, isn't it, Matthew?
The wind is also turning. It was directly across the river here before. It's now coming straight from Putney Bridge to us. So it's swung through 90 degrees, very changeable. It'd be interesting what that does to the times.
Yes, definitely.
And then right, King's College School, just outside us here, crew 51. They're just going past Imperial College Boathouse, and Vesta, the next crew. I lie.
This is Bristol B.
Quartered College, University of Bristol. They're chasing them down, so they've done a good job there, and that's why Vesta was quiet.
I think this big part is that KCS Wimbledon have 7 of their second 8 in that boat, because lots of them are at GB trials this weekend.
Right.
So they're all getting ready for the pairs.
And also, Kings have held their line, and Bristol have steered across to try and overtake. And have gone the wrong way, have gone out of the stream.
We've got Oxford lightweights coming down now, not the full 8 from the lightweight boat race. We've got some of the spares in there as well.
But Cambridge lightweights will be the full crew.
Full crew.
And they'll be racing for the lightweight pennant.
We'll see. I think they'll have been on the beers this week, Matthew, after their celebratory win.
There's a risk. And that's Nottingham Rowing Club. Back in the day, that was Nottingham Boat Club and Nottingham Britannia that combined. I was Nottingham Boat Club for my time there.
And then a big old gap. I'm guessing Edinburgh B, crew like 58, which have made a big move on everyone else. They've overtaken
quite a lot of people because they've overtaken Vesta and London.
And Westminster 54 if they started.
Yes.
We haven't seen them at all yet.
I haven't seen a pink crew come down. I didn't see them boat either. So here comes Vesta, followed by London. So that Nottingham crew has made a real onslaught on this race. They've had a lovely time overtaking 2 crews. It really is fun when you're overtaking. Perhaps maybe not for the Coxes, but as an oarsman, it's fantastic just to keep going past the other crews. This looks like Newcastle.
Here we do. We've got Newcastle C. Yep. Newcastle C, crew number 60 coming down now. Another very impressive programme. Seems to consistently put out more boats than you could ever imagine.
Now there's an Maidstone Invicta crew that hasn't gone past us, but that is the first of the Masters C event. and they're just being overtaken again, I'm afraid. So Newcastle have overtaken Maidstone Invicta. They're the ones in the purple on the far side with the light purple blades, and on this side we've got London C 61 overtaking them. So Maidstone Invicta have had 2 crews overtake them, but that doesn't matter because they're in the Masters C event, and both the crews have gone past them are in the lightweight event.
See, we've got the next Imperial boat coming past. We can tell from the noise underneath. That's crew number 62, another academic boat from Imperial C. This one, followed closely by the University of Surrey, I believe. Yes. Another AllMarkOne sponsored crew. Come down, great line down the inside here.
That is the best line, I think, where they are right a width off the buoys. So we're expecting then Upper Thames and City of Bristol to come down next. Yeah, they're a long way back, so University of Surrey have done really well to
we've got a big old age gap in that one. We've got Ed sat in the 7 seat, and Orlando, who is sat in the bow seat, and apparently there was 13 years difference between them, so that's a big old gap.
I've been in a boat like that, but I wasn't the younger one. So coming down now.
Another Upper Thames crew, potentially?
Yes, this is the Upper Thames B.
Indeed.
So they're also on the Henley Reach. They've come down to do this, second Upper Thames crew. Nice course there from them, and they've held themselves ahead of City of Bristol, who are the crew in green going past. Stroke man's definitely taking the rating up. I'm not sure all the others are in the Upper Thames.
We're starting to move out. I think they've kind of spotted the finish line, Matthew, and got quite excited and just started beelining for the pier there.
Yes, it's a tough bit of the course for the disciplined steering to actually hang on to the right line here. That's Vesta D coming down.
You got 66 Vesta D.
They've very kindly all got different T-shirts for the different crews on Vesta, so you can spot them. And then behind them,
another Thames boat.
That is Thames F. This is the first of the veteran B events. Sorry, yes. So it's Thames Rowing Club F, and then they're followed by another UL crew.
Apparently, all 8 of them can row stroke side in this boat, Matthew, in the UL boat here.
Okay, that's really good on one of the bends on the course, not the other. But,
indeed, and we've also got Kareem in the 6th seat, who can solve a Rubik's Cube in under 10 seconds. You know, all of the interesting stats.
Let's hope he's not been doing that under Hammersmith.
No, indeed. We've got City of Oxford coming down now.
They've obviously overtaken Newcastle D. Yep, Newcastle University coming down next. So Oxford had a good time overtaking as they were coming. And then you've got the Newcastle University D crew. Back in the day, it used to be if you can't row, wear a hat, but it seems very trendy now. And actually in this weather, having a hat on is not a bad idea. But that's the 4th crew from Newcastle University. And then behind them, we got the 9s. No.
Now the question is, it looks like the lightweights, but the lightweights are crew number 74, so they've made a really good move.
They've done really well. Cambridge lightweights, fresh from the pier.
Fresh from it, won the 2022 lightweight boat race by 5 lengths over Oxford Lightweight Rowing Club.
And they've done a damn good job here too.
The big part is that the Cox Felix had his as a twin brother racing in the Oxford lightweight boat about 20 boats earlier.
Yes. So the Cambridge lightweights have overtaken the 9s here, crew 71.
Indeed. They've
also overtaken Durham University and Bristol University boat clubs.
So we've got Cambridge 99 coming down here with half the crew studying for medical or academic doctorates, which is
That's right.
Very
4
impressive.
of them are already doctors, and the other 4 are training to be doctors.
So
impressive let's hope no one's ill in that boat. Now here's Durham University. They've been overtaken by the lightweights.
And then a close battle following them.
Coming down, and they've also been overtaken, but they've also now got on the outside of them Glasgow.
77.
Glasgow. So Glasgow doing really well there. That's crew 77 Glasgow, overtaking crew 73.
They're definitely going to find it a little bit tougher. Bristol have got the advantage Bristol coming down here.
Bristol are absolutely in the right place. This is Minerva Bath, isn't it, coming down? No, that's
78.
That's the 9s. 78, City of Cambridge. How dare I?
Definitely a club on the rise here.
Yes.
I think City of Cambridge are wanting to make themselves a big name in club rowing over the next few years. So definitely one to watch this crew coming down now. Followed closely by...
It should be Monmouth.
It should be, but they're in bright yellow. 76, Minerva Bath. This one?
Oh, so right, yes, Minerva. They've dropped back a bit, but they're one of the older crews, and then that's Marlow coming down behind them. So they're 75. So there has been some serious overtaking, of course, because these are the people that have been overtaken by the crews that just came down. So Minerva have done really well there. And then this is another Molesey crew, crew number 80.
80, Molesey C.
And behind them should be London, but judging by the kids, that looks like East India Rowing Club.
That would make sense, wouldn't it? 82. Oh, this one's 79 coming down now, so this one's Monmouth.
Oh, that's
Monmouth Rowing Club. So they've also fallen back a bit, and that Molesey crew has definitely made it.
This is a veteran B crew, that's why this is on an age classification, so they're not in the open event. That'll be why they're slightly slower.
Molesey have made some good move on these crews.
Yes,
here,
they have. And the wind has turned again. It's now coming across the river.
Followed by 81 London Rowing Club. E.
Yep, the wind is definitely swirling around.
Right, there we go. Now we've got East India Rowing Club coming down here, who train once every other week, coming down over here. Followed, I believe, by...
Soon, do they? There's Reading Rowing Club on this
Reading
side.
Rowing Club.
And on the far side...
is East India.
Oh, that's East India.
Indeed. 80.
So Reading are just catching them, so they've spent the whole of the 4¼ miles gaining this one place. So they've just got half a length overlap. That is a long, hard pull.
We've got 86 coming up next, followed by 84. So that's Royal Chester in front of us now, and then Southampton University sat behind them. So Royal Chester have gone through Southampton here.
And Sons of the Thames have dropped out. No, Royal Chester have gone through Sons as well, who will be the next crew down.
Indeed, 85 should be Sons of Thames. That is them, yep. So we're just watching Southampton University go down now, just before we start pulling over to Sons of Thames Rowing Club in front of us. Just received their new boat.
I hope that's it, it's done them proud. And this should be Collingwood, I'm guessing. Yes, Collingwood from Durham. Durham University have college crews in abundance in this race.
Indeed, 87 Collingwood coming down now. Seen a lot of you in the live chat looking out for Collingwood. So
now it'll be interesting to see what happened to the other Collingwood crew, because they were still here about 15 minutes before the start of the race.
Indeed, followed by we've got 88, so 89.
We've got the Blue Star Club. You've got Northwich
and 91.
That's UCD on the far side, isn't it? Yes, UCD on the far side. They're overtaking everyone, but they're a bit out of the stream. And on this side of them, you've got Northwich, and then leading them down was Blue Star Club. So Blue Star Club are holding their station nicely. Northwich has pulled out to overtake them, and sadly,
it means that UCD is kind of getting pushed out.
Have been pushed right out of the stream, but they are definitely the fastest crew. And then this looks
92.
like Bath.
92 Bath University coming down now. They're in a bit of a bubble here by themselves. It's definitely a tough part to do on a race if you've basically got no one in front of you and no one behind you. You just got to kind of work in your own rhythm.
But they have overtaken the Lee.
Oh, that is a big old gap.
Yes.
That is a big gap, isn't it, Matthew?
That was crew 90, who've been overtaken by both UCD and Bath. So they've had a difficult time, let's put it that way. But it's kept the crew ahead engaged.
And you've got UL Tyrian in their noticeable chessboard all-in-ones, pretty much.
Yes, decorative.
Indeed, crew
there
number
looks to be some weight in that crew. It's useful in the headwind. And they're coming down. We have 4 crews alongside each other.
We do.
This is fairly hairy here.
one of these Imperial College. We've got...
and we have all the foreign crews in a clump. So on the far side you've got one of the Dublin, the stripes.
Yes, we've got 97 and 99 coming down first.
On this side, as everything blows around, the wind has really picked up, is Dublin. On the far side...
Cork. 97 Cork.
Cork, that's right. And then 94 have dropped back into it. That's the Akademische Ruder Verbinden Westfalen. That's their A crew.
98
and then on this, and then behind them, you've got the Deutsche Ruder Club. And they're from Hamburg, I think it was. So that's a real gaggle of the foreign crews. AK Oriel Kensington have overtaken one of the foreign crews, which is number
95.
95.
Oh gosh,
sorry,
you can go for that one, Matthew.
That's the Akademische Ruder Verbinden Westfalen. It's quite easy, that one.
There we go. And the Imperial's just in that mix up there as well. We just got Imperial D just stuck in the middle of that big clump of rowers down there.
But it's interesting, all the overseas entries were in that little clump in the 90s, and they were all coming down to the finish in a clump.
Followed by a very big gap
Big
here.
gap, because AK and
we've
Imperial have both done well to catch up the overseas entries.
Definitely.
Now this might be the commercial coming down. They've had a little rest on the way by the looks of it, because they should have been the second crew of the overseas entries, and they're now coming down at a very sedate 34.
We do. We've got 96
and then
coming
Oriel
down.
Kensington B are just overtaking them. So the Irish, and this does not look like a young crew from the commercial. In fact, it's Veteran D. This is the first of the Veteran D crews coming down.
Getting chased very quickly down by the Oriel Kensington B.
Style over rating, I think, is the answer.
And even
Veteran
quicker
D.
by 103.
This is a very tidy looking crew. This is Tyne again. You said they were a club on the rise. That is their second crew, and they are carving through the numbers.
Definitely.
They're really they won't catch AK. They might catch the Irish veterans, but they are flying, and they're in a huge gap of their own.
Then followed by 105, Curlew Rowing Club.
One of the forgotten clubs, Curlew, but they're quite good. And then they're being chased down by City of Oxford. Actually, I lie. Curlew have overtaken City of Oxford, if you don't mind.
Yeah, we got City of Oxford. We've got Sam Mitchell, who's sat in the 2-seat, who's a world champion tennis player, table tennis player. But yeah, they've been overtaken. 105, not bad. Yeah, they've been overtaken by Curlew coming down the track here.
And then behind them,
106.
Ooh, don't recognise those colours. That's City of Bristol. I should do the diagonal downwards. So City of Bristol trying to hold off Agecroft and Putney Town.
Yeah.
So Agecroft have overtaken Putney Town, and in so doing, Putney Town and Agecroft are attacking City of Bristol.
Getting really close to City of Bristol coming into the line here.
The feeling of fear in the Bristol crew must be quite enormous, because they can see it coming. The Cops is still blissfully unaware, but the stroke is going, no, push on, push on.
Indeed. It's definitely getting really busy down at Putney Bridge now. We can see the crews starting to paddle back all the way. We've got all the crews getting out in front of us.
Yes,
yeah, it's definitely getting really busy. And then we're just following down by the next two.
Is that
Liverpool? 109 and 110.
It is Liverpool University on the far side,
and
on this side
University.
is Swansea. That's the
two universities you tend not to see a huge amount of it.
No, and Swansea rowing in green is very un-Welsh colour for me. But Swansea have underrated, because we don't see them much, but they certainly look to have a good crew there. Although they are being chased by Liverpool.
Yeah,
Big gap now behind them as we wait for Exeter. I think they're the next crew down. They had some magnificent leggings on when they were going up to the start. And then it should be Leeds Rowing Club behind them. But no, Leeds have been overtaken by the looks of it, because the blue and light blue blades missed. Oh no, this is Leeds with the blue and light blue. So Leeds are chasing Exeter all the way down the course, but have made no real headway on it. Leeds also have the joy of rowing on a lake that's only 700 metres long at Roundhay Park.
It's definitely a difficult one when you're training for a 6.8k course down the Tideway.
But they do go over to York and get a bit of Long River there. But
yeah, definitely seeing Exeter University getting chased down by Leeds Rowing Club there.
And then another Vesta crew with identifying T-shirts. This is Vesta E.
114 Vesta E. We've got a combination of a mix of new and long-standing Vesta members here in the fifth eight. Of course, still another 2 more to go after this one.
Yes, absolutely.
Putting out a big shift here with Vesta. We can just start hearing the balcony starting to kick up there over there. We've got Tom Stell in the bow seat.
Looks very neat indeed. But they're rowing in an absolute vacuum there because they pulled away from
116 and 117.
But they're not there. Twickenham have been overtaken, so the next 2 crews are Dulwich and City of Cambridge. So City of Cambridge are just about to overtake Dulwich College.
I think the big thing here is that the Dulwich crew is it's a mix of the old boys and some of the first eights.
And both of those crews have overtaken Twickenham, and all of that was happening miles behind the Vesta crew, who had nothing going on around them. And so passing Imperial now is the Twickenham crew, and they've pulled away from Hildon Bede, I think it is, coming next.
Looks like Edinburgh might be coming down after this. Is there an Edinburgh crew? Edinburgh C. Yeah, Edinburgh C have already overtaken Hildon Bede. Hildon Bede, that's the one.
Yes. So this is Edinburgh University. Sorry
Indeed,
about that.
119.
In the blue.
Yeah, Edinburgh coming down here. So far all the Edinburgh crews have had their rates pretty high coming into this final section.
Yes, they look like they're just starting to lose cohesion though. There's just a little bit of effort going on there that's a bit of a struggle. And then coming down now, that's
crew 118.
That is the Hildon Bede crew, good. Also in the light blue, but they're being chased significantly by Warwick University.
Indeed, 120 Warwick University.
So Hildon Bede having a tough time, being overtaken once, and they've got another crew coming up behind them. And then following that,
121. Oh no, it's not 121. Oh, it is.
That's Sheffield. Yes, Sheffield University. Yes. 121.
I'm gonna blame Kit that put Norwich School down as 121 in my commentary notes.
I can't read the numbers, but I can spot the colours. Yes.
Indeed.
So behind them,
here's the Norwich School crew, 123 coming down now.
They've overtaken them. That's a junior crew.
This is my old school coming down now.
Brilliant. No wonder you went straight for the colours on that one. They've done really well there because they've overtaken Butler College, who are a senior, not senior A.
We've got a lot of crews coming down now. We got 127.
No. 127 is Canterbridgian.
And then I believe 122 and 125.
And behind them, Butler is the crew with the red blades.
122.
There's going to be a collision here because there's no room for 3 boats there.
Oh my gosh, there's another one coming down as well.
That's University of York, isn't it, as well, somewhere in there.
Yeah, 124, University of York.
And then 125 is Pembroke on the far side. So Pembroke have now just moved over. And bless them, Norwich School have also started to cut the corner.
I think they've all started to move to the left there, Matthew.
All drifting away. There was no room at all for anyone to get through, and suddenly they've all decided to go and visit Fulham. And there's a room for another race to come down inside them, but I don't think they're going to catch up.
131 and 126, I believe. So we got Oxford Academicals on this side.
This is the first of Her Majesty's Forces crew, so they're going for a trophy.
Indeed.
And then on this side, is that Bristol Aerial?
It's Oxford Academicals.
It's Oxford Academicals. Now they're also a small club crew, so they're going for both of those crews are racing for a pennant.
For a pennant, yeah.
So that is a serious bit of road going on there. So now we have 130, which is this is the 9s again.
130, so this is
Cambridge 99.
Cambridge 99.
Sorry, I must stop calling them the 9s. It's Cambridge 99. And then behind that, because the Army have done really well, they've overtaken quite a few crews.
The Army have made some big moves there.
This is Walton, isn't it?
135. So
Derby. Sorry, I'm sorry. Derby and Walton do have similar colours. Derby Rowing
very similar colours.
Haven't seen them for a while. It's good to see them back. And that's a nice bit of rowing as they come down the course there.
Yeah, a nice big gap between them and 134 Hatfield College.
Oh, that's another of the Durham colleges. And this is a medium-sized academic pennant they're going for. Now, bright green must be Nottingham County.
Indeed, and on the other side it's 132 Bristol Ariel. Don't usually see them very often.
No, and the river they row on is so windy. It is a fantastically curly little tortured bit of meander, just downstream from Bath, and Nottingham County, of course, on a bit of still flat water.
Yeah.
What a contrast. And then behind them, that looks like Nottingham and Union.
Yeah, we've lost the bow number on this one, so
that'll cost them 10 quid.
We'll go for 136.
That's Nottingham and Union, and they're being chased by
University of Nottingham.
It is 139, so somebody who knows them quite well. And behind that,
133 and 13.
we've got is Curlew again.
138.
And
Southampton University.
They normally have red stripes. They've got the 4 red stripes on their blades. I couldn't quite see them. Definitely getting old. So Southampton have been overtaken by. Actually, everyone's been overtaken in that group by the county. But the Notts and Union have done quite well. They've stayed ahead, and Southampton are pushing up on all the others. So that's a really, really good bit of racing, and hence there's a gap in the course, and then 4 more crews coming in a cluster. Oh, this is such fun. They're having a great day when they get to have a race like this. So we've got another. That looks like Grosvenor. Slight pause. I think it's Liverpool University on the far side. It could be Manchester University on this side, which would be 141.
Over here, yeah.
Ahead of them was.
We got 142 Tortoise Club from Oriel College.
From Oriel College, yes, you're right. And then going up through the middle.
143. I'm guessing that's Walton. Looking at the blades.
That is Walton because it looks like Derby.
Indeed.
So Walton having a really good time going through the middle, but Oriel, they're just catching them. So they've had a good time on this course.
Another big gap. We're definitely seeing that we see chunks of about 4 boats.
Yes,
big gap, chunk of 4
boats.
They're
doing this just to make our job difficult because we then have to spot 4 crews at once. If you can hear us over the dog that's having a nice time.
The dog's having a great time down there.
So now going past us on the course, that's crew 144, Leeds University Boat Club. They've been dropped, but they were with the group that was the Nottinghams and the Oriels and Manchester. So they're having a nice sedate row, and this is after the 650 metres is over.
Followed by 147 St Andrew Boat Club.
Oh yes, with the cross on the blades. Yes, of course it is the cross on the St Andrew.
Yeah. I think we're going to see quite a lot of them this season. I think they're aiming to be Scotland's first Thames crew for the regatta. Yes. First Thames Cup crew. We've got some former Harvard lightweights in the crew, and of course like some Scotland team members from the home international regatta.
Well, they're doing a good job. They'll be down the course very shortly.
Indeed, we've got Neil Paul in the stroke seat of that boat, who's a former Cambridge lightweight blue boat member, so knows the river pretty well. Oh, well, I mean, actually,
but going the other way.
Well, back then it was at Henley, wasn't it, Matthew?
Oh, of course, yes, lightweights, yes. Indeed. And of course, the boat races will be next weekend.
They will be on the 3rd of April.
So we've just next week on Sunday though is the boat races. So another little gap there, and now we come down to crew 146 is a
145 and
that's what it is, Warwick University.
148, which should be Royal Chester.
Yeah, Royal Chester have caught up Warwick University enormously. So Royal Chester with the blue blades, and they've overtaken Twickenham, who are now going past us and started 3 places ahead of Royal Chester.
I think one thing to really know is that the Cox of Royal Chester's in a great position coming down this line. Apparently his name's Tyler Gordon. Was taught by Harry Brightmore. So I think that's a really good line coming into the final bend.
He obviously knows what he's doing.
Indeed.
And there's another of the Cambridge crews coming down here. This is City, isn't it? On this side, on the far side, we've got Dublin University.
On the far side, 131.
Yeah, that's Dublin. 151 is Dublin University.
151 and 150.
And then on this side is Liverpool University. I'm sorry, not Cambridge. So the crew on this side, the Liverpool crew, is overtaking the Dublin crew on the far side, who are another of the overseas entries. Then we have, oh no, I haven't lost the number. I thought we had another £10 in the water. This could be crew 152, no, 153 Wolfson, is it? Or
152 coming down now.
152 Liverpool, right. And then
followed by UEA Boat Club, so that's what, 154?
University of East Anglia.
Yeah, we just started to get some results through, Matthew.
Yeah.
It says that Brooks A we've beaten Leander Club by 16 seconds. 16. Okay. Only 2 seconds behind them is Brooks B.
Yes.
And then there's a further 20 seconds until Leander B.
Then Leander B.
But that's good. That means Brooks has got
first and third.
Brooks currently have first, third, and fifth, which is incredible. So that means that Brooks also take the academic pennant.
Yes, in 2019 they had first, third, and sixth.
Yeah, so they've made a good improvement on that. We're followed by 160 and another Imperial crew coming down with that bow number.
Club is 160, and then Imperial crew they've overtaken quite a few. Unless that's F. Is that 155? They've got
I'm guessing it's 155 Imperial College.
They've dropped back a bit.
Must have. 157 Durham coming down now, so they've also had a bit of a drop back. And but they have stayed ahead of 159 University of Nottingham.
And then there's another Bath crew just coming down. So Nottingham have overtaken the Bath crew. And then behind them we've got crew in red. It's not Marlow. It's not.
Oh, this one in front of us.
The red crew.
The red crew is 156, I believe. No, 164. Is it 166? 166. It looks like Collingwood, doesn't it?
They row in red. That's Collingwood College. Or if it's 166, it's Lady Margaret. It's Lady Margaret, bright red all over.
Indeed.
Royal Scarlet, I believe. And this is Collingwood College coming down in red.
Yes, indeed, 156. They've definitely dropped back about 10 places.
Yes, so 10 places. So hence the confusion. And then behind them in the Vespoli
is 161 and 163.
Is Grey College from Durham in 161, and 163 is University College London.
I think the big thing is that the Grey College and the Vespoli on the other side is completely self-coached. They just head out in a boat and they just do what feels right.
Well, it's working for them.
Their aim is to go out and get sub 20 minutes on the course, but also beat as many of the other colleges as they can.
Which is true. So this is not Manchester. This is New College.
Looks like New College Oxford.
New College Oxford.
Coached by a bunch of Brooks athletes. It's about 4 Brooks athletes that coach the New College crews.
That sounds good. So they've done well in the bumps.
I believe so. Yeah, I believe Hugo Sanders did a pretty good job at getting them through bumps.
Good.
Followed by a bit of a gap here.
Yes, so definitely the New College crew has pulled away a bit from. Can't even see the number on this one. This is
164.
Oh, that's University of York.
And 165.
Also University of York, who've just caught a crab at 6.
Oh, they have.
And at 5. They've
picked
it up again.
Same time.
It was a large crab that followed them down the river.
Indeed.
So the University of York B will be thrilled to watch University of York C catch the crab and pull away by 3 lengths, because previously I think they were being caught.
We got crew 169 coming down now.
Which is Wadham. with a stranger shirt in the middle of it. I don't recognise the vest at 5, but definitely a Wadham College.
And then we've got a little bit of a gap to announce that Thames Rowing Club A have provisionally won the club pennant.
Oh, well done.
And
they did look good.
Radley College A to have won the junior pennant.
Juniors, that's good news.
Indeed.
But the Thames crew did look very impressive as they were coming down the course. So that's 167, that's Swansea University again. That's their B crew.
Yeah.
And they look to have pulled away from Churchill College, who I think is still, yes, 168, no, it's 170.
No, 170 coming down now.
So that's King's College London, who've overtaken Churchill, and behind them is
171, which is Fitzwilliam College.
So there's been a lot of overtaking going on from these two boats, have passed 2 or 3 other boats who are well ahead of them.
Very impressive work coming down now.
You probably hear on the background noise that the tone of the bank has changed from expectation to relaxation. Relaxation
and trying to get the riggers off the boats as quick as they can. We've got Jesus College Cambridge coming down in front of us now. This is their A crew, 172. I think it's quite a big thing going from training on the Cam and the ISIS to coming onto the tideway, isn't it?
Onto the big river. It's a bit like we were saying about Bristol with the winding meander river. The river at Cambridge is, what, 1/10 of the width of the river here? It's amazingly big. This is almost like the sea, but once you go through Wandsworth, you start to discover how much bigger it can get.
Exactly. We've got Hughes Hall come down in front of us now.
Yeah, so Hughes Hall is 175 in light blue.
And then a very big gap indeed.
So those two crews have had a very quiet day, unless we've got some people missing. I don't think we have. No, they've just gone down, and the crews, they're all going to come in a cluster now.
They are.
They've slowed down and caught up to make life easy just for you.
Yeah, we're gonna have quite a big rush in front of us. Just make sure you stick around at the end of the stream. Myself, James Robson, and Jack Beaumont are going to be having a little wander down the towpath.
Fantastic.
We've sorted out the audio issue. It went a little bit quiet earlier, but that's all right. We've fixed that. You know, wouldn't be an AllMarkOne live stream without a bit of a nightmare.
No,
just before or even slightly during.
Going on, don't you?
So yeah, we're just starting to get the next set of crews down now.
No, it's not Putney Town. That's checked.
We've got no bow number on this boat at all. This one's not the easiest.
Behind them, which is Pembroke, Cambridge, and then 173.
173
is Sheffield University, and I can't quite see the number on the back of the cot.
Is it 174?
174 it was. That was Bartholomew's and the Royal London Hospital, who were hiding their light under a bushel. This looks like Nottingham University again.
It is another AllMarkOne sponsor crew, Nottingham University coming down now.
Their 5th crew.
That's it. Very impressive to see Nottingham University fielding 5 eggs. That is
very impressive. Is this Sheffield University with black and yellow?
Incredible that. Followed by 181.
That's Sheffield University. You can always recognise the waspish colours. And then there's a cluster of crews coming down. So we've had a little bit of a lull, and now as the wind really picks up, this is going to be quite tough going. But I suspect down on the water, looking at it, they're sheltered on half of the river. They're just getting a crosswind here. You may hear it on the microphone, I don't know. But going past us now, we've got East Anglia, University of East Anglia going down, 178. They're being chased by, actually it's crew 184, so they're over. So 182 has been overtaken by 184. 184 is Downing. 182 is Imperial School of Medicine.
And then 185 on the far side.
And on the far side looks like Edinburgh.
D.
It is.
They've definitely got stuck in that big old mix of crews there.
There's
and they're
a lot of chaos happening there, and they're all steering across the river out of the stream, but I hasten to say into the sheltered water.
It does look significantly flatter on that far side.
Really is flat, and the wind is going straight across. We've got another Vesta crew and then a University of Manchester crew coming down.
Yeah, so on the far side we've had, it's Bristol.
Sorry, I keep doing that with...
However, Bristol, this is a whole boat of novices. They've only started to row
Fantastic.
in September 2021, so it's great to see them out on the tideway as well. Followed by, another Manchester crew, 179. Manchester B. So really great to see these universities pulling out so many 8s. It used to only be, just before COVID, we had, Brooks would field 6 or 7 8s, and everyone else, you'd still have the Newcastles and the ULs and the Imperials.
Newcastle have always been prolific, but it's good to see I don't want to say the lesser, but the less common universities.
The intermediate level Bucks universities pulling out 5 8s.
But they are having a fantastic day because this is a good race for them, and it's really valuable experience. You don't come away from this race without learning an awful lot about the river and yourself.
So I think a big one to notice here is we've got 183 Van Mildert College. This is the college that had the boathouse fire in Durham not very long ago. So I think they want to pound out a big thank you to the Durham rowing clubs. It's definitely getting very windy up here. To the Durham rowing clubs for lending them equipment whilst they're here.
And they've managed to turn out their crew, and they're making a good job of getting down the course. And then on the far side, that's crew 181.
191, yeah.
Sorry, I lied, 191, which is Queen's Cambridge.
Queen's Cambridge.
And they're definitely going for the sheltered water,
definitely.
Not the fastest stream. Let's put it that way. I don't know if you can hear the rope on the flagpole clattering next to us. But
it's just about tripled in busyness below us, and the wind has picked up as well. It's all kicking off here now, Matthew.
As we get to the, I don't want to say the last knockings. We've still got another
100 or so, right?
It is 100 crews to come down. I mean, it's such a big event, the Tideway Head.
Huge. I think a big thing to notice is it's actually smaller than Women's Head for the first time that
ever.
I remember.
Yes, it is. It's quite a surprise because normally this was limited to 420 crews.
Indeed.
And everybody would say, "Oh, that's terrible. That's awful. You shouldn't be allowed." And now, I mean, obviously with 2 years away, it's not a habit. And I think once you break a habit like doing the Tideway Head every year, it's hard to get back into it.
It also shows a huge promise for women's rowing in the UK. I think it's a big one. I think the fact that you're able to pull out that many women's 8s in a sport that usually doesn't have that many female rowers.
And the standard of women's rowing has shot up.
It's really exploded.
Amazingly. And when you start to see all the medals coming in at the top, the highest level, and the width of the base of the pyramid being so wide, it just bodes really well for the future of the sport.
Yeah.
And then on the far side, we've got 18.
Oh gosh.
I can't see them. So 187 on this side is Warwick University, who look to be catching.
I'd say 190 on the far side, but I'm not sure if that's correct.
It could be. That's Grey College. So Grey College have actually overtaken the University of Warwick, and then we have two crews duking it out here.
We got one without a number, but that's the University of Birmingham with the blades.
Yes, it's definitely. And then in light blue on the far
and
side.
199 potentially is that Leeds?
Red and green. It's Leeds University. No, that's
right?
not Leeds University. They're in red and green. Oh dear, a sad sight. That's Westminster. No.
Oh yes, it is.
That Westminster School rowing down the course.
It's 168. Whoever 168 was. Is that Churchill College, eh?
Oh, it could be Churchill.
Looks like,
but there's somebody missing.
There is. We're missing
the sixth man is completely missing.
We hope he's all right. Definitely. That is a rough sight to see.
Only bow 4 are paddling, and they're not racing. So something untoward has definitely happened. And
happened in the Churchill boat opposite us.
And the extra person being taken out of the boat. So there'll be more to find out on that one.
Indeed.
And we have another cluster of crews coming down. The crew in red in the perfect position. And that looks like Birmingham again.
Could be Birmingham again. We've got 197 coming down.
Which is Birmingham A.
It is.
And then on the far side, in blue and yellow,
193, which is
Bath
C.
Bath have been overtaken.
So Birmingham have got a great line coming down here. Let's a little bit lower, 30, 32 on the rate. Do you think, Matthew?
33, yeah, definitely. But for a lot of crews, having a good low rating is better than a bad high rating, in my book.
Radley are making some big
Radley
moves here.
Really
202 coming past 195 coming
Bradley
down the
having
race
a
now.
storming. That's their J16 crew, isn't it?
202.
I think that is their J16s thrashing down the course and walloping everyone in sight.
Indeed. I believe J17 crew. Oh, no. School's Head J16 Champ 8 winners.
I thought it was.
J16s. That is an impressive result.
Really good. And there's Homerton College they've overtaken. 194, they've overtaken them as well. That's Glasgow University.
And 200 have made pretty big moves in front of them.
Yeah, that's Homerton. So Homerton have been chasing Radley all the way down. They've had a lovely time. And
UCL 192.
Some of the crews they've overtaken may not be the quickest in the final timings.
I bet they've had a great time going past them all, though, Matthew.
Oh, wow. Can you imagine?
Time.
You're 16. You've never done it before, and it's easy.
You've done School's Head around a load of people your age.
Yes, and won it.
Your coach has come back to you, been like, "Well done for winning. We're going to enter the men's head now." What? And then you sit at the start with all these people, twice your size, and then you just overtake all of them all the way down the course.
And they hate you for it. Is that Leeds?
199, I believe.
Leeds University. Yes, that's them. And they're being followed by
201. Oxford Academicals B.
Another Academicals.
Again, great to see them pulling out two boats here. The River Isis is not a big river, and you've got City of Oxford and the Academicals and Falcon and all the colleges. It gets very, very busy
and
indeed.
Also they're entering the small club.
Unsurprisingly, from the noise, we can hear there's an Imperial crew coming down. So we got 196
rowing club on this side, and then AK on the far side, Oriel Kensington, sorry, on the far side,
and then
an Imperial crew here getting a huge cheer.
And then we do have a Vesta crew coming down, 206 on the far side. Vesta F, again, just insane to see.
So just one more to go.
Indeed, have we spied Wallingford? Oh, here we go. Yeah. Wallingford Rowing Club 204 on their way down now.
They're doing okay. They've overtaken 207 are next to them. So 207 are giving. That's the London Rowing Club. No, it's not. The blades are wrong.
207
is Putney Town from the other end of the course. So Putney Town having a real dust up with Wallingford.
And 209 Star Club. Wallingford and Star looking remarkably similar in that.
I didn't realise actually Bedford and Star Club and Wallingford's kit is absolutely the same, but the blades are such a saving grace.
Indeed.
I only know two clubs with stars on their blades, one blue, one red.
Not wrong. So Radley
actually,
College
Wallingford and Star Club both taking the sheltered water from the wind and cutting the corner, but on this side.
So that leaves our next club, 208 Kew House School, a school that's really been up and coming this season. We saw them at School's Head. They've got some great coaches on board, and I think they're definitely a club to watch moving forwards.
Yes, I've never seen them before.
Yeah, so nice, they both out of Quinton.
Colours, thank you very much. Yes.
And Mortlake and Anglian, and they seem to just be pulling athletes out of their pockets at this point.
That's really good. And this is this Team Keen?
It's Winchester, followed by Team Keen.
Team Keen, yes. So Winchester having a good row, but Team Keen have been overtaken by them. Winchester have also lost 10 quid on their bow number.
Yeah, that's gone.
The bow numbers are thoughtfully made of metal, and they don't swim. Let's just leave it at that.
They do not swim in the slightest.
So this is 214, 215?
214 coming down now.
It's Dart Totnes.
I've never heard of Dart Totnes, Matthew.
No, you need to be around a bit longer. They've been around a long time. All rowing clubs have peaks and troughs in their performance, and I think Dart and Totnes are on the way back up again because they look to have a stronger.
They look really strong coming past now. Yes.
But it's numbers in clubs is always the problem. If you have 7 people, you can't do an 8. It's very simple. And then also 3 people get rather dejected because they don't get to race.
Yeah.
So then suddenly you only have 4.
Then you end up with a pair and a single, and it all gets a bit messy.
You need a dozen people to have a decent club, and it's hard to keep that going at times.
Yeah, the wind's definitely really picked up again now.
And
it's kind of swung again, hasn't it, Matthew?
It's now slightly tailwind from Hammersmith. As Oriel Kensington's come down.
Cross right now.
Actually, I lie. It's straight cross again.
It's straight cross. Yeah, Oriel Kensington.
As all my papers fly away, all you're getting to go past, and we're down to guessing who the crews are.
And Northampton Rowing Club, following them down. Again, a club that you don't see very often, but great to see them on the tideway for the head.
And then we've got 215.
215, Runcorn.
Oh, it's Runcorn. Of course it is. So, and of course they've made the journey down. It's a long way to come down, and it's really good to see the crews coming down to the tideway head from Tyne, from Runcorn, and coming across from Dublin and.
Yeah, I was actually really impressed by how many international crews there were this year.
Absolutely.
A lot from Europe.
Now this is not
217.
This could be Staines.
Staines, indeed.
It is Staines. And I haven't seen the Staines 8 out for a while, so it's good to see them back on our water.
I've just had a quick. Yeah, I've had a quick look at the Runcorn one. Yeah. Apparently, it's the first time Runcorn have been on the tideway in 10 years.
Really?
Which is very impressive.
Really good.
And the age range of the boat is 18 to 71. Impressive stuff. That very impressive stuff.
Okay, now I feel like I should be in a boat.
You and me both, Matthew. You and me both. 216 coming down now.
This is Canterbridgian.
Another AllMarkOne sponsor club, Canterbridgian.
I remember when they won the Thames Cup.
And of course we don't mention the Sunday of Henley that Matthew tries to forget against Leander versus Canterbridgian in the Thames.
This looks like what Derby.
219. So yeah, looks like Derby beat.
Yes, I won't call them Walton this time.
Indeed.
And then Agecroft. So.
Yeah.
So they're having a good race down.
So we're missing 220 University College Dublin, right?
Yep.
Don't think we've seen them yet.
Which is a surprise.
So we've got 218 coming down now, Sons of Thames. With their very, very visible blue,
pointy
I want to say M-Packer tip, but not sure if it's an M-Packer. I guess.
But it's interesting also that Derby and Agecroft have both overtaken them, so they've had some enjoyment down the course.
Definitely not an M-Packer, like a Stealth or a Predator or something. The yellow's very slightly different.
And Winchester again.
Indeed, 223.
Winchester A.
So I wonder which one came down earlier. Which one was the Winchester from earlier?
Kings.
Maybe they were borrowing some kit from Winchester. Oh no, Winchester B went off 211, and then Winchester A went off 223.
It's like the London boats D went ahead of C.
Interesting.
Yes, I always wonder what the politics are.
The new CRI of British rowing, isn't it? That's it.
These are interesting.
It's all fun and games.
Yes.
It's why we saw Cambridge lightweights head off about 20 boats behind the Oxford lightweights.
Yes.
220 coming down now. 220 University College Dublin. Durham. Sorry.
UCD is hoops, isn't it? So no, that's the University College Durham.
Indeed, we've got some in the stroke seat. We've got Matthew, who's a former national cross-country skier. We've got Toby Evans, who coaches this boat. And in the 7th seat we've got Rob, who's kind of been roped in for this race. He apparently he wasn't really signed up for it. He swapped rowing for pints, Matthew, and he's been roped back in.
I'd go for pints any day. That's Trafford now going past us. Trafford Rowing Club.
222 and 225, followed by Putney Rowing. Is it Putney Town?
Yeah, Putney Town from up at Chiswick. We're in Putney, and Putney Town's in Chiswick.
Indeed.
Go figure.
So this crew has been formed solely for Head of the River this year, made up of an old boys from what they call the Bar Squad, which is like 25 years of rowing, basically. To form the Putney Town Rowing Club's 100th centenary year. We've Putney Town 1922 to 2022.
Well, congratulations, Putney Town. That's really good. And as the Air Force go past us, because they had their centenary last year, which of course they couldn't celebrate because of COVID, and they rowed up on the Hurley Reach.
And 229 after them.
229 after that is York City. Well done, York. Good to see them back down here.
And
they're being chased
2-3-2 Newark.
By Newark.
Flipping hell, the wind has really picked up now, hasn't it? Something's going to fly away in a second,
yes.
Matthew.
I've managed to gather most of my notes, but we've wedged the door so it doesn't bang. Now, this is the Heart of Scotland Rowing Club.
230.
Which I've not seen before.
Interesting, never heard of them.
Got notes on them at all?
I've got absolutely nothing on them, I'm afraid.
I'd love to know more about Heart of Scotland.
I'm going to have to do some research later. We might have to take a trip up there. If you're from Heart of Scotland, just slide into the Instagram DMs. We'll come and say hi.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw them going up towards the start, and we've seen them coming back down, but we'd love to know who you are.
We got 226 following them down.
So they've overtaken, which is good.
Signet.
Oh, Signet. Well done. A local club, but one I haven't seen for a while. Mind you, hasn't been much rowing for a while.
No, it's not at all. Nice big gap after Signet Rowing Club.
Yes.
So, yeah, if you're...
That's good for Signet, but it may not be good for someone behind.
Indeed. But make sure you stick around at the end of the stream. In the final 20 or so crews, I'm going to hand over to Matthew, and myself, James and Jack are going to pop downstairs, and we're going to see if we can grab some athletes to have a chat to. See if we can rope in. I can see the Imperial lads and the Bath lads and stuff, so we'll try and have a chat to them.
Well, that'll be good.
235 and 236.
So is Molesey having overtaken King's
236.
Oh, 236, sorry.
Union.
That is Nottingham Union. It's interesting, on the bridge at Nottingham, they've got war memorials at both ends. And all the officers and gentlemen were Nottingham Union, and all the other ranks were Nottingham Britannia and Nottingham Boat Club.
Indeed.
So,
definitely a big thing there is that Molesey have gone past in a Hampton school boat. That threw me off for a second there. Don't usually see them come past. We got, let's say 233.
That's Tyne again.
233 chased down very, very quickly by 241.
Isn't it, that?
241 Keys A crew that I raced in my first year at university and absolutely stonked on us at every single race. you line up at the start and you're like, it's alright, I've seen college crews row at Oxford, we've got this in the bag, lads. And then Keys come past and sit about 2 lengths up the entire way down the course.
And they also raced at Henley at the boat races representing the fastest college a couple of years ago. So
234 and 227 coming down
that's
now.
Newark in 234, 237 is Gravesend with the white blades with the coloured tips. So that's good to see them actually rowing well. I haven't seen Gravesend on the Tideway Head before. I don't know if it's their first time.
239 and 231.
And 239 is Sudbury. It's one of the smaller, so medium-sized clubs.
And then 231 have had a bit of work dodging some of the overtaking crews from them.
Yes, that's Furnival. They know they've split a river, and I think they've taken their time enjoying it. It looks to be, they're rating about 30, but they're having a great day.
And we've got Gravesend.
Another Gravesend crew. That's your 237.
Yeah, 237 Gravesend. Yeah, very impressive to see this many clubs come down. There's a big old line of boats over at Putney Bridge at the moment, just trying to snake their way down.
I'm not sure what you can see on the stream, whether you can see right down through the bridge. But there must be 38 coming back up this side.
It's really impressive to also see all the people stood on Putney Bridge looking down on all the crews rowing underneath them.
I've not noticed that before, but it's almost when the two really impressive, or three impressive sights of this race are when you're up at the start and all the crews are marshalling, when the first 10 crews come down to Hammersmith Bridge, and then this when everyone's coming back up to land.
I'm not sure who this one is, Matthew.
No,
blue, orange and white. 238 potentially?
238.
London Otters.
That is the Otters.
Really should have got that.
Yes, that's the Otters. And then there's Scullers behind them.
Scullers 244, who I believe are the Scullers juniors. They are.
Ah, yes.
Apparently, they have definitely not lost to their senior women, which means Kieran's crew is definitely taking all of that. And yeah, overall, great to see another Tideway Scullers crew come down.
And there's Marlow coming down, being followed by another Keys crew.
B, indeed.
And is this University of Surrey? 246?
245.
245. It's Warrington. Sorry about Warrington.
Great to see this Keys crew coming down though. 6 out of the 8 have only been rowing since September this year.
Fantastic.
And it's, for most of them, first time they've ever been off the River Cam. So
marvellous.
A bit of a shock to the system, I'm sure.
But actually have a look at the Warrington going down past them. Warrington have got the line.
Indeed.
And they are squeezing through and giving them a bit of a duffing.
Crew number 245, aiming for the top 150, Warrington.
Fantastic. I think they're going to get there looking at that. And this is the Lincoln Rowing Centre. Now they've got a lot of straight flat water there. So Lincoln Rowing Centre, that's also a medium-sized club. So they haven't had a win for a long time, and they're hoping for something good from this one.
243 coming down now. I believe this is the last Vesta crew, 243.
You could be right. And then behind Vesta crew, that's another set of papers gone. We have 248. Thank you. Merton College Boat Club just coming down. They're in a bit of a vacuum for their sins, and then they're being followed by 249, which is Walton Rowing Club. So they're having this is a junior crew from Walton. They're really having a good row there for that. Though the wind here, I think they're going to struggle. The wind is quite sharp for them, so they'll be struggling a little bit on that one. And then after that, we have Merton College, and in fact, Walton have overtaken Merton College. So that's a good row for the juniors from Walton. And both crews, sadly, are going a bit out of the line of the stream. They're moving across towards the flatter, calmer water out of the wind. And there's a long gap behind those two crews. But now that the embankment is getting as busy as it was before the race, because all the crews are coming into land, even though half the crews are going to paddle all the way back up to other clubs to land, it is just heaving with people, and all the families wanting to know how people have done, trying to check on the results. And then that long gap is now just another crew coming into sight, well away from the in fact so far away I can't see the number. They're well away from the black buoy. They're just checking that. It looks to be crew 100, which is completely out of order. It's crew 100. This is Favourite Ammonia, who had to come back from Hammersmith because their steering had broken. So they've now rowed down the course in solitary isolation right at the back end of the event. And then 247, we've got Globe coming past us. So they're another local crew, so they're coming down. No, actually, they're on the Docklands, aren't they? My mistake. So they're coming down the Putney Reach, the championship course. A good day out on moving water. And they're being chased down now by this crew 256. This is Churchill College B. So another college crew with 2 8s out.
Sorry, Matthew, I had to disappear there. We're just setting up the rest of the equipment for the rest.
Oh, we just had crew 100 come down, which is that Favourite Ammonia.
Flipping it, we've only got about 30 to go.
But yes, because they went upstream, got as far as Hammersmith, and had to come back to get their rudder fixed. Their steering was broken. So they've had a torrid day, but they've just come down. And now we've got crew 251, I think this is, coming past us. This is another crew from Kew House, so boating out up at Chiswick. So Kew House really putting 2 8s out is a good start. Really good to see them, and they're having a good row too. They've drawn right away from the crews behind them, one of which should be another junior crew from Maidstone Invicta. I can't see them through the trees just yet. Here we go with crew 253. And this is Cambridge 99 coming down. And then there's the
followed by 256.
And then the pink boat behind them, 256, is Churchill College.
Churchill B. And
another college with 2 crews out.
Churchill B having a much better time than Churchill A coming down this section here.
And they're a medium-sized academic institution they're going for.
254 and 260 after that.
Well, 254, of course, is Fulham Reach. And 260, they're flying. That's Fulham Reach A is 260, overtaking Fulham Reach B, who are 254. And Fulham Reach A, these are both medium-sized clubs, but that is a really good result for the A crew.
And then 258 LSE coming down
London
after
School
them.
of Economics. They've been supporters of this race for years. It's always been good to see London's LSE on the water. And we have 2 crews coming down together. On this side is crew 263, which is Lineker, of course, with the yellow blades with the cross on the back of it. And they've overtaken, it's 257, that's Southampton University on the far side. So Lineker having a really good row. And actually their position is perfect. They're in absolutely the right spot for the maximum stream. 257 being overtaken and 262 behind that. This is Jesus College Oxford in the green. They're trying to chase down, but they've been overtaken by Lineker as well. But Lineker are flying down. They're really going for the last 200 metres down towards Putney Pier. We have another crew here coming down on a good course. The black and red blades. I'm just trying to pick them out actually, so I can't quite see the number. This is 258. So this is the LSE again? Is it? I'm terribly sorry. This is 259. This is the Collingwood College crew that was going afloat 10 minutes before 20 minutes before the race started. So they had plenty of time to get up to the start, and they've obviously had a few issues with the steering as well. So it was the 2 crews that were badly affected by that. And there's a crew coming down here with no number on, but this looks to be Newark colours. Yes, Newark shirts. That'll be crew 268 with no number on. That's Newark Rowing Club, and that's their junior crew. So they're coming down. They've lost 10 quid as well. Then crew 261. They've dropped back a long way. This is Royal Free. So it's the Royal Free and the University College Medical School boat clubs. And they've dropped down the list quite a way. And then we have another Cambridge cruise of 265. That's City of Cambridge. That's their D crew. So another club with 4 crews entered. It's really good to see these clubs with so many crews on the water. So City of Cambridge just going by, and they're catching up Royal Free and the Oxford College Medical School as they go down towards Putney. And then on another crew with no bound, there's an awful lot of money being made on bound numbers this year. I don't know if the crosswind was bad up at the start and people were nudging into each other. Crew in red and black, it could be Jesus. I'm just trying to, in fact I think it'll be crew 270. That'll be Jesus College Cambridge Boat Club B. And after your student fees, that's another 10 quid that's gone. So now coming down the course here, there's a set of 3 crews. There's Vesta Racing against, so they're just having gone through, that's 269. Vesta Rowing Club H, would you believe, and they're holding off Jesus Cambridge B, which is 270, and then 275 behind them. That's Christ College Boat Club. So there's a real race coming up there, and they're behind them. 274, which looks like Christchurch, has overtaken 271, which is Academica Ruderverbindung from Westfalen. That's the B crew. So a German crew there is being overtaken by the coastal crew Christchurch. And then we have 271.
273 coming down after
273, which is Cardiff, of course, Cardiff University. They're looking very relaxed, but they're moving quite quickly. And they've drawn away from the group behind. So another good day out for them. But that's another Notter cruise coming through. Then we have a little gap. And then 5 crews all together. Oh, I just love it. And the leading crew without a bow number. And with colours, is this the Otters again? No. No, I'm sorry, we cannot identify that crew. 277 is behind them, that's Fitzwilliam. And then behind that is 283 coming up fast on them, which is the Scottish Argonauts. The Scottish Argonauts are really flying, and they're juniors. Wow. And then behind them is 284 at Selwyn College, and they've overtaken. Those Scottish Argonauts are going to overtake 2 more boats before the finish after they've passed us. And then coming down here, this is Itchin. There's another junior club, and they're just ordinary kids who are doing really well in the rowing world, just proving that it is a mass participation sport and not just for posh toffs. Because they're really doing a good job down at Itchin. And powerful bit of rowing. They are also overtaking as they go down towards the finish. And then down alongside us, another crew, 279. This is Aberdeen. Now they're not going as fast as the juniors were from Glasgow Argonauts. So they're enjoying much more of the course in the purple colours of Aberdeen. And then I think this looks like St Neots coming down. Club colours look like St Neots, but I can't see the number. It should be 278. Yes, that's St Neots. So they're having a good row. I haven't seen St Neots in the tideway head for a while. Very strong performance there. And the wind has picked up again. Even the binoculars have just blown over. And the spray off the blades is flying. This actually is tough conditions for the last few strokes when you're not.
St John's College, Durham.
Thank you. And they're fighting through the spray that they're making at the same time. Now we have a crew with bright yellow tops with a C on them. 276. This is Grosvenor Rowing Club. They're making steady progress, and behind them
we lost the bow number. 289 potentially.
A very sprightly club.
I don't think it's 289.
Oh, it's Maggie. It's 289. That's Lady Margaret. They are flying down and overtaking crews left, right, and centre there.
We've got to give a big shout out to LMHB. Otherwise, none of the crew have rowed longer than this year.
Really?
And they've currently been voted most popular crew in Cambridge, Matthew.
They obviously buy the drinks. And can I just say, the crew they're overtaking started 12 places ahead of them. So they've had a very busy time. This is 287 Leeds School Boat Club. Do you know where Leeds 287 School come from? Leeds School? Do you know where they come from?
I actually have no idea. I remember racing them as a junior. Still have no idea who they are.
It was like the Grange School.
It was one of those schools where you turned up and you were like, damn, they could be really fast, or not. Like it was a massive unknown, no matter when they turned up.
I know the Grange wasn't quite. I saw the Grange school went, oh Lord.
But we're getting to the end now, Matthew.
Yes,
so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand over to you.
Okay.
And then when the last crew has gone past, we'll say goodbye from you, and we'll pass down to myself, James,
you'll be
and
down
Jack.
on the towpath meeting.
Indeed, you just got
meeting the panting oarsmen who've just finished racing.
Indeed.
Okie dokie. I'll take it from here. Well, good luck down there.
Yes, indeed. I'll see you later, Matthew.
Thank you. Cheers. So we've got 294 just going past us here, which is the Royal Mass Yacht Club rowing section. So they've come from Rotterdam, a very traditional, lovely club, old club, and they've done really well. They've pulled away from quite a few here, including 288. That's Wolfson College on the far side. Going past is University College. Then 282 is Putney Town, and that's Putney Town D, so they've turned out 4 crews. 291 in green coming down past his Exeter University Boat Club, and there bringing up the rear is 286.
Leander, then we're going to move on to the.
That's Minerva Bar. So they've got a huge age range in that crew, and all those crews fighting
and also maybe
to be in the cluster.
if we can find someone from the Imperial crew that was racing.
Boats. Nobody wants to be the last boat down
pretty
the
well
course.
coming second.
But they've made a really good finish of it. They're having a good race all the way.
Is that right, Roy?
And the wind has swung round again, so it's now coming from the bridge a bit more. So a bit more cross headwind for the people as they come in the last reaches of this race. And we've got a couple more crews coming down here. One in the perfect place right on the line of buoys, and the other one much further over towards the Fulham Flats. We'll just see if we can pick out who they are. This is, I think, 292. This is Green Templeton, and they're coming down. And again, you can see the spray coming off the blades is flying towards the stern of the boat. So it's a tough old day to reach this last bit. And the leading crews had none of this. And that looks like Staines coming down. They started last, and they are not finishing last. They are really giving this a good old tug. It's a junior crew, bless them, fly into this headwind. This is hard work. And they think they've only got 20 strokes to go, and they've actually got 25 because of the wind. It's a tough gig at that age. And then here we go down. This looks like the last crew to come down. Staines have overtaken them. And let's see who it is. There's a Masters crew from Kings that I haven't seen. And there's an overseas entry from École Centrale Rowing Club in France, which I haven't seen. So let's see who this is. Confirmed in the binoculars, this is University College London Boat Club. University Crew 285. They're coming down, having been overtaken by quite a few crews, and I would hazard a guess that they've learnt to row within the last few months. But they're trying to have a bit of a rally and to go the last few strokes at a higher rating. Half of them have got the message. And there's another crew coming down behind that. So they've managed to stay ahead and not be last down the course. Yeah, so UCL are giving it some now. They've got the rating up to 32, and they've actually pulled themselves all together, so they're getting a real rally down in front of the boathouses. There's one more crew coming down towards the Black Buoy, through the trees. So getting binoculars on these so we can see who they are. And their bow number comes into view. Gosh, if I could stand still in this wind. That's 283. So crew 283. That's another Scottish Argonauts crew. So the Scottish Argonauts have had two junior crews in. And but for the wind, I think this crew would be flying quite quickly too. But that's Scottish Argonauts crew 283 coming down, and then there's an umpire's launch coming down, so they will be the last crew down the course. Is from Scotland, the Scottish Argonauts, their junior crew 283. But they've had a good day out, I hope, and they'll have learnt an awful lot about this bit of water. So that is all the crews past us now as an umpire's launch comes down to show the course is clear. This is the 2022 Tidal Ahead of the River race, the AllMarkOne live stream, and I believe we're going to go down to Rory, who will be looking to have a chat with some of the people who've had their race and just come off the course. So I hope you've enjoyed the day. We certainly have here. It's been cracking weather, jolly good racing, and now let's hear from a few of the oarsmen down on the towpath. If anyone's still seeing this Okay, as you see now that on the water here, you can see there's the Casa Major coming down to show the course is clear. Then all the marshals and all the volunteers that have been out on the water, mercifully in the sunshine and not too cold, all coming down, bringing their boats back down to Putney to come in and land. And if you can still see down, there's still another 40 or 50 boats having come in to land at Putney. It's really busy, hundreds of people on the bank. Hundreds of people on the bank, milling about now. Some have raced, some have not, some have watched, looking for coffee, for chips, for biscuits, for food. And there are boats going up. There's the Keys boat that's been carried up past Imperial. Trailers are being loaded, boats going on, riggers taken off, dismantled, put onto trailers to go back home, or staying in one piece to wait for the Veterans Head to be happening tomorrow. And that will probably be running the other direction. And then of course next weekend we have the big boat races. So I'll hand over to Rory down on the towpath and he'll be talking to some of the guys who've been racing.
Awesome, perfect. Like, great day out here ahead of the River 2022. We're now joined by James Robson from Leander Club.
Yeah, and we've also got a Maidenhead legend, former Leander Club captain and Olympic silver medalist, Jack Beaumont, here to join us to wrap everything up. From a bustling Putney embankment with lots of boats going around and people milling about. So Jack, what are your sort of thoughts on how the day's been and the environment down here today?
I just think it's brilliant to be back at this kind of event. It's so nice to see so many people getting involved in the sport that we all love. It's great to see the international athletes and sort of every level of rowing pretty much. We even saw a boat finish with 7 people in the boat. Don't really understand what or why yet, but I'm looking forward to finding out more about that.
So what we're essentially going to do now is we're going to go through some of the results that have happened from today, put some context behind them and hopefully talk to 1 or 2 people who are either in the cruise or involved in the cruise. So we're going to start with Harry Brightmore, who is coxing the winning Oxford Brooks crew, who's just been given a massive bite of a crepe, which is really well deserved because Harry steered a phenomenal line. He's going to bring the crepe in with him. So Harry, just come in here. What are the conditions like out there? Let's start with that.
Perfect
this is
timing.
very well deserved.
Generally really, really good. Obviously lovely day, blue sky. The only sort of little factor to go on was the wind. Felt like there were patches where it was really nice, like absolutely dead still, and feel like you could really just cut through it. And then all of a sudden there'd be a bit of a gust from somewhere, but it wasn't really too difficult at all. It felt like we had a pretty clean run of it.
It's been a bit of a tough build-up into the head because you guys have had one lost through COVID, and Leander, who are probably your main competition today, have had 2 or 3 guys out this week. What's the kind of like mental state that you guys are in coming into the race, and how confident were you on the start?
I think one of the great things about Brooks is that we have an attitude of like no real heroes, and the guys back at the club who are training there, the students, there's so much depth that really it's almost like a bit of I always use the analogy of it's a bit like shark teeth. So if one person falls out, you've got another one that's just chomping at the bit to take their place. So obviously it was a huge blow to have a guy miss out who's sort of like in the top boat there, but we were fairly confident that we'd be able to do the same job with someone else coming in. So yeah, I don't feel like we were hindered at all really.
And okay, so I've heard some of the things about ergo scores coming out of the national team lately, and it sounds like you had a really powerful boat. Was that the most powerful 8 you've ever coxed?
In terms of ergos, yes, it probably is the most powerful 8 I've coxed. But there's plenty that we work to, maybe some slightly different metrics that we work to at Brooks, and I think there's.
So what sort of metrics might these be?
Stuff that we do on the water.
Yeah, without giving too much away.
Yeah. Put it hard.
Does that change your race plan at all, having bigger ergos in the boat, or is it just the same race plan from 2019 basically?
Yeah, same race plan, and I think whether in the first 8 or the bottom 8, everyone is sort of measured by the same stick, and everyone has the same race plan to get the most out of your whole track A to B.
And how do you balance during the race? How do you balance talking through your race plan and sort of encouraging the guys, as well as making sure you're steering the best line possible. What takes priority, or is it difficult to multitask with that?
I think one of the beauties of the tideway is that you've got so much room. So, you know, I think when you go through Chiswick Bridge, you go through the start line, you know, you've got time to think. There's no point just racketing on and going like hell for leather out the blocks. So you've got time to relax, get your crew into a rhythm, and you know, while you're doing that as a cox, you can be quite calm, and in turn, you just think about steering, think about where you want to be. So, you know, I think that the less pressure you put on yourself as a cox going out the blocks, it's actually easier just to get yourself in the right place.
And Mike, obviously you guys had a convincing win today, 15 seconds over the Leander crew, which are most of your and my teammates from the national team. But also, can you just talk about the depth that Brooks have got at the moment? Because, like, I mean, 5 crews in the top 20, winning the academic pennant, that's a massive depth that your squad has. Like, what's the kind of attitude around the club, especially coming from the team, going back into the Brooks setup for the last week? How's everything feeling, and what do you think they're going to be building towards for the summer?
Well, I think going back to Brooks, it's quite humbling, because it's almost like you know, you go back, you've been at the National Training Centre, and you know, guys pulling very big ergs and all that sort of stuff, and you know, there's a real buzz there, and you come back to Brooks and it's like, you know, the same if not more ferocity of just absolutely chomping at the bit, ready to get at it. And you know, there's a lot of quite an underdog vibe that we really enjoy at Oxford Brooks. We really like sort of going up against the grain, up against the system. But yeah, like going back with the student group and the sort of the open group there, everyone's training really, really hard. Obviously, Gateshead is such a huge event for us, so you know, the boats are very carefully picked, and the coaches do a really, really meticulous job of making sure that people are in the right seats. And yeah, just all of the fixtures that I'm sure people watch, you know, all of that build up goes towards making sure that we peak for this day. And yeah, it's amazing not being part of that system and watching it and thinking, oh, we've done really well this year, surely it can't get better than that. And you see these new guys come in who are just so determined to get after it, and they're doing the same, if not better. So I think, you know, credit to those younger guys who are coming through.
And it's a fantastic set of results. It's the Tourist Boat Club dinner tonight, I presume?
It is, yes.
So there'll be wild celebrations from Oxford Brooks University Boat Club.
Absolutely, yeah.
So where do we need to be avoiding?
Well, unfortunately for you guys, it's going to be in Henley. So yeah,
I'll batten down the hatches.
Yeah, lock your doors.
As James mentioned, you won this one by 15 seconds. When you crossed the line, did you know that you'd won? Like, did you ever look behind and you were like, they're not where they were at the start?
Yeah, I look back a couple of times in the race. I think, you know, we sort of had our race plan, and I probably looked back 3 or 4 times, and I think the last time I checked was going past Harrods, and knowing how the boat feels and our gearing and our pacing, I thought, like, yeah, okay, we can do this. So yeah, I think we sort of knew when we crossed the line.
Awesome, cheers, Harry.
Yeah, thanks very much.
I think we're going to rope in.
I think we're going to go to Will Fletcher next, who's one of the women's coaches at Durham University. Durham have had a bit of a tough day today. Obviously, as we said, like, Brooks got the win in the university pennant, followed by Pier in Edinburgh. And also, Durham were hot favourites in the beginner academic pennant today, but they got just pipped by Liverpool University. But you've had a substitution in that boat, am I right? Not the dev boat, but in the first day.
First day we have.
Okay. So how was everyone feeling de-rigging the boats? Do you think it was a result sort of that showed where Durham is at the moment, or is there room to grow?
I think it's been quite a good turnaround in Durham, to be honest. I think we kind of showed that it looks ahead to start with. We got some good results, and it's really quite exciting to be kind of part of the new kind of like Durham kind of regime, I guess.
I don't want this to sound bad, but did you expect the Bucks Head result of winning?
We knew we were going well. And it was quite exciting going into the race, because it was a little bit kind of like, how are we going to do? And we haven't raced for so long because of COVID and things like that. It was actually quite exciting to go into it knowing that we were moving quite well. And then when we got the result, it was obviously really exciting, and mean, everyone was like over the moon to be honest. It was a little bit unexpected by some people, but like we kind of knew we were going to do okay. This race, we kind of, again, like we came in thinking, you know, we're going to have a good step forward again, but unfortunately, like a few things didn't quite go our way. We lost our stroke man yesterday, which meant we had to change boat around a little bit, but we're not using that as an excuse. You know, you have to perform still when you've not got a full crew out, and that's what we're trying to like become. Going forward, we want to be able to have anybody in the boat and still go well. And I mean, like, if you look at Brooks, if we just talk about there, like we've got 5 crews or whatever in the top 10, which is amazing really. So that's where we're going to try and like head towards.
And so, like looking at the university calendar, what's next for you guys? I mean, is Bucks in like a month's time?
Yeah, we've got Bucks Regatta next, and we're going to really kind of like knuckle down and get some miles and kind of switch the racing to a little bit more specific of kind of 2K and things like that. So yeah, it's going to be an important month coming into Bucks. Yeah.
And as a recently retired athlete who is coaching, do you ever get in the boat with the athletes and show them a thing or two?
Maybe one day, but I'm recovering from a broken collarbone, so that's not at the moment. Yeah, maybe one day.
Awesome, Flex. Cheers. Thank you very much. Right, so now we're going to move on to the Vernon, which is the Tideway-based cruise. There were 50 entries this year, and I didn't mean to sort of paint it before it happened, but it was really tempted to lose. So we're joined by Andrew Curry, who's men's captain?
Club captain.
Club captain, sorry. Club captain.
Captain of the women as well.
Oh, of Thames Rowing Club. 1-2 was it? And then London A in third today. That's a good result with decent margins as well.
Yeah, 1, 2, 4 and 5 in the Vernon. It's obviously it's a good thing to aim for. It's always good to be best in the embankment and nice to beat your local rivals. But it's more about the overall position that we look at and the strength and depth that we have, rather than sort of Vernon placing. So, yeah, it was a good day.
That was sixth place for the A boat.
Yeah, 6th place. Yeah, we looked at a range. We thought between 5th and 9th was achievable. Didn't know how fast Brooks C, Leander B were going to be, but on the day we came 6th and we were pretty pumped about it, to be honest.
Yeah, it was a very strong performance, and as you said, very strong depth. What's the atmosphere within the club at the moment, and how's everyone building towards the summer, especially with the lack of racing that we've had over the last 2 years?
The atmosphere at Thames is great. Like, it's such a good vibe. I mean, we're always searching for ways to make the programme work around full-time jobs, which I think has its detriments. Like, we can't train as much as the Leanders and the Brooks, we don't have that time or that access to our athletes. But on the flip side, rowing is always like something extra you do outside of work, and it's nice to come down and decompress with your mates, and there's always that sense of enjoyment which we've really tried to reinforce. And the culture here at the moment on both men and women's side is just really good to see.
I think we'll have a bit of a wander over to your boathouse actually.
Yeah.
You can kind of run us through how you think each of the boats went. Yeah, and especially as the club captain, maybe even like your women's tabletops as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, we just
What I think is interesting is that, you know, along this embankment there's loads of rowing clubs, and for a while there was a very short bit of river you could use because Hammersmith Bridge was unrowable through that and impassable. What is the sort of culture between the different clubs, and is there much of rivalry or much banter going on? I see some things about naughty coaches in their launches sometimes, driving a bit fast and washing down other crews. What goes on there?
I mean, it's before COVID actually there was no real relations between any of us.
Okay.
It was a bit of a problem. Us and London didn't have a great rapport. Us and Leicester like kind of butted heads quite a lot. COVID really brought us all together. And then Hammersmith Bridge was just like the unfortunate icing on a not very nice cake.
Yeah.
Like, it was such a disaster for us. We were all crammed in this tiny stretch of river. And we had to compete with people who had none of those interventions in their training programme. And we just all helped each other out. All started like WhatsApp messages and all those group chats, but just really like advising each other on what we were doing about the rules, how Hammersmith Bridge was going. We all objected to the planning applications at the same time. Like, it just brought us together like prices always do.
But with your quite dominant results, especially in the men's side over the last 7 or 8 years, been amazing to watch. Do you find that there's a bit of a transfer window where people go, oh, I'm enjoying my rowing, but look at how well Thames are doing? Do you find, well, maybe you have to be a bit diplomatic in what you say.
Maybe you've got a few messages already this afternoon.
Yeah, do you get the inbox filling up?
I always think that's a bit overstated. I mean, I don't know what you guys think, but I think club loyalty goes quite deep.
Yeah.
I mean, Vesta I think Vesta is such a great club. Like, they've got such a great vibe. They know who they are. They're churning out some good results. And if you work a really busy job and rowing's not your priority, then I think that's a great club to stay at.
Yeah, I only saw it with their 7 crews out today. Like, they've got depth.
And they're such nice people. Like, they're honestly such a great vibe at that club. Thames is a little bit different. Like, we are a performance club. We don't hide away from that. Yeah. If you come to Thames, you come to achieve your potential. We want to make you the best rower you can be and achieve results like today and on the winning side that shows we're like a serious prospect. So we don't see many people joining at this time of season. And I think if they did, it would be quite a hard thing to do because we're just quite well set up. We've got 5/8s on the men's side, 5/8s on the women's side. Like, we've got what we need and we work with what we've got.
And that women's head result of the A boat beating Leander's B boat, which is their top club boat. I mean, what was the atmosphere after that race, and how excited was everyone about the set of results?
Women's head was iconic. Like, I can't speak highly enough of the girls and the coaching team around that. Like, we are a club that prioritises both sides, men and women, equally, and it's so great now with the women's event at Henley that the season is symmetrical. So you obviously have women's head and head of the river, and now we have Henley women's and Henley Royal in the same sort of prospect as the men. And it was so great to see the strength and depth on the women's side. Beating Leander was a great scalp. I mean, the amount of access and time they have to train, it's always great to get ahead of them. But our neighbours up the river, Scullers, did put one over us, and we're focusing on them now to try and make ourselves in the best possible opportunity to win the Wargrave, because that's so important to us.
That's the aim moving forward, is that Wargrave win.
I'd say we were obsessed with winning.
Is that the same across the club? Is like I mean, we've seen Thames winning the Thames year on year. Is Henley just that goal of the club?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, look, you've got to keep a sense of perspective. Like, you're not going to win every year, and if you see winning as the only thing you can ever do to make a success of the sport, you're going to have athletes that are disappointed. Like, we want them to enjoy themselves. We want them to realise their potential. But yeah, like, my dream is to see a Thames and a Wargrave win in the same year. To see 2 8s from each side on that podium would be just a dream come true for us.
Well, what a target!
Yeah,
nice. Yeah, big
awesome. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Have a nice evening tonight.
Yeah,
what's the theme at this?
It's ancient Greece. So get your togas out.
Cheers, mate. So we now move to the Page, which is the Thames-based crews, which are above Teddington Lock, and this was another result that probably wouldn't come as much of a surprise to people following the club rowing scene. Molesey A won this. They were only 2 seconds behind Thames Rowing Club A, but they were 25 seconds ahead of their B boat, who finished in second. So that's really good strength and depth for Molesey.
Yeah, definitely. I think Franz has come into that programme, and we've seen the purchase of new equipment and new athletes coming in. A lot of athletes moving from outside London into London and choosing Molesey as their place to train. I think their breakfast club, early morning training programme just seems to work for people who have got jobs.
Yeah, and they looked really good. Yeah. The multi-first boats looked. I was walking down by Barn Elms at the time, and they looked really strong.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, stroked by my fellow Brooks guy, Rufus Tilt. Like, again, just like athletes that have come out of bigger programmes, moved to London, and then wanted somewhere to row. And Molesey's a pretty good pick if you don't want to have to come to Putney every day.
But what is it the lads call themselves? Because I saw something on Instagram. They've got this breakfast club. They always
the breakfast club. It's the BK.
The BK, yeah, the BK. So shout out to the BK, I think.
Indeed.
And we've also obviously Jack and I lived in Henley for a bit, and we've got to look at the Upper Thames and the Henley Rowing Club results today. I mean, probably not quite where they want to go, but again, there's depth there that we're not used to seeing, especially with competitive first eights from both of those clubs. So I think the club scene at Henley Royal Regatta is going to be a really, really interesting year this year.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting one, especially the overseas cruise that we saw turn up today. I think it's probably one of the biggest overseas entries I've seen since I was like deep into the rowing circuit, and just seeing that depth come through, maybe we'll see it in Henley as well.
And again, won by Cork Boat Club, which is a club cruise, so they might be looking at targeting some of the club events this year at Henley, something like the Brit, or the Wyfold maybe. So that's exciting for the summer. And
how awesome to have an event back on that people from other countries think this is an iconic race that I want to be a part of. Like, what an amazing sort of testament to the sport in the UK.
Yeah, I think lots of clubs that have made the trip from Germany and Switzerland and the Netherlands and Ireland to come all the way here makes such a big thing for the UK rowing scene. Especially as we saw this year, is probably one of the smallest entries in the history of the race in recent years. Having that overseas entry really builds up the quality of the event.
I mean, turning our attention now to the Jackson Trophy, which is the club crews that aren't based on the Thames or its tributaries, looking further afield. This was one that for me was wide open looking at results. I mean, we've had Rutherford Head in the a few weeks ago, where Tyne and Agecroft were neck and neck. I think it was 0.6 seconds on the finish line between the two of them. But actually today it was won by the city of Bristol, and I mean there are some good people that live down in Bristol, and it's a great city to go to, and it's really great to see a club like that probably hasn't got the history of success coming to the front and really registering themselves as a contender for the summer.
Yeah, I think the big part is that it's outside of that London, Oxfordshire, Cambridgeshire region. Like even in like the Newcastle Tyne area, just seeing another club that's not in that section of the UK makes such a massive difference. Just in and out, yeah. We'll have a bit of a wander down to the bank whilst all the umpires are coming back in.
I think the other thing that I love about this event is that you've got people in boats 1 and 2 who've been to the Olympics, got Olympic medals, teammates of yours, Jack, and then you've got crews in the 200s or the 300s when we have bigger entries who, it's people who are 55, 60 who are just here to enjoy racing, and I love the fact that it's one event that encompasses the whole sport.
Yeah. The thing with that is, I'd imagine it's exactly the same experience for all the athletes too. The nerves will be the same, the sort of feeling like you need to pee at the start line will be the same. You've used the toilet 15 times before you get in the boat. Everyone will have these same experiences, and it hurts everyone just as much. I think it's brilliant.
I think a club that really stood out were the Radley J16s that took home the Champ 8 win at Schools Head last week. Probably finished Schools Head, their coach was like, all right, you're going to Men's Head now, here you go. They sit on the start line with all these guys around them, I don't know, a bit taller than them, a bit bigger than them, much older than them. They overtake about 10 of them down the course.
Yeah.
Like, they must be so fun to just absolutely bosh down the course, being like, we got no pressure on us. J16-8, who cares?
Talking of the juniors, it's a bit of a strange. This event falls at a bit of a strange time for the juniors because a lot of the big schools went on Easter holiday yesterday, and it's GB Spring Assessments is happening at the moment. They're all up in Nottingham, so a lot of the top guys aren't there.
Yeah, I mean, we saw with King's Wimbledon, 7 of their first 8 aren't here. They're all at trials. So their 8 that went past today was their second 8 plus 1, basically.
And I mean, that event was, I think, won by Radley.
Yes.
Which is a big result as well. And looking at the results from Schools Head, it was really, really close to the top. But again, great to see that depth for the summer racing at schools, national schools, and events like that, where we're going to start to see more crews get involved. The other thing we've got to talk about very quickly, though, is that there are rumours that Henry Regatta are potentially opening the Princess Elizabeth up to clubs. And there were some quite fast junior clubs that were racing today.
Now that is music to my ears, to be honest. I love Penny Royal Regatta. I love it. I've competed every year since I was 14 when I didn't qualify, and I just think it's a brilliant event. But coming from a club and coming from that background and being told you cannot enter this event, I just think it's ridiculous. I think it's gatekeeping from an old time, to be honest. I don't think the Princess Elizabeth should be schools only. I understand the concerns of these sort of super club boats coming from China or from other countries, but I think
we have yet to see it in the junior women's and the Diamond Jubilee and the Forley.
Yeah, and it does exclude club rowing from doing sweep, and it's a shame. And I would love to see it.
I think a big one that stands out is that Hintsey Club 8. The juniors last year, they ended up having to break into a Brit 4 and a Forley because they weren't able to enter the PE, and their other options were basically the ladies' play.
Yeah, and the thing is, most schools that row, you've got to pay to go to them, so it does exclude a massive demographic. I think it needs opening up. I know it's controversial, but I'd love to see it.
I think it's great. We've got a couple of loose ends that we've got to tie up here quickly. We've got the lightweight pennant today, which was won by Cambridge.
Not overly surprising.
Not overly surprising, given that they won the boat race. It was their full blue boat, was it?
It was pretty much their full blue boat, and they'd already beaten London Rowing Club A, so we kind of knew that them up against the London Rowing Club lightweights probably wasn't going to be the biggest of matches. And then
Newcastle came second, and that's close to my heart because I'm a Newcastle alumni.
Exactly, and then the Oxford lightweight crew were 5 or 6 of their lightweight crew that lost to Cambridge Yeah, last week.
Well, the thing is that although you say that, you know, the form would tell you that they'd win, it's somehow when you've trained to peak for a certain event and they had their boat race last week, how hard is that to kind of keep the fire and the motivation to actually
drag you out of the barge?
Yeah, exactly that. You've celebrated. You've probably had to go and do a lot of studying that you didn't do up until your event. It's not a given. They were probably really nervous about today.
Yeah. We've got medium academic clubs as well, which is clubs that haven't finished inside the top 100 in the last 7 years. Now, that was a big win for Surrey University.
Again, AllMarkOne sponsor club, Surrey University on the rise with Sam Tuck coaching them.
Exactly. 7 seconds over the Lady Margaret Boat Club, which is at St John's College, Cambridge. A very good result for a college crew.
Very, very good. I think the big part is that they've come from the River Cam in Cambridge, which is about 2 boats wide. It's not very long and it's very windy to come to what is the biggest river in the UK. I haven't been to the Tyne, Robson.
That's a massive step.
It could well have been rowing up to start line. Could well have been the longest continuous row they'll have done.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think we heard that for a lot of those college crews from Durham, Cambridge, and Oxford, first time they've been off their home river, and they've come all the way to the tide rate. They've hopped in a boat and they've had to learn a new circulation pattern. Maybe they've had to learn how tides work on the river
and how to get into the boat.
Indeed.
Wow.
Yeah, you don't have floating pontoons anymore. You've got a bank with just random rocks underneath it.
Then we go to the small academic clubs, which are clubs that haven't finished in the top 200 in the last 7 years. I believe, just checking the results as they come out live, I think that was won by Brasenose College, which is in Oxford.
Interesting.
I mean, again, great to see college crews coming and testing themselves on notoriously one of the toughest courses in rowing.
It's definitely a really tough part because you finish torpids or Cambridge bumps or whatever. You finish bumps, then as you say, Jack, like you go and do all the work that you've got to do. That was like a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. But then you've got to train for what every other crew trains the entire winter for. Like instead of training for 500 metres of sprint racing, you've got 2 weeks to pack in 6.8k worth of long distance, high rate, like full grind racing.
Yeah, that would be a shock to the system for sure.
Yeah.
Then moving to the club entries, we've got the small club, which again, outside the top 200 in the last 7 years. This was won by Peterborough City, which is a club that, again, they've got a 1,000 metre rowing lake there. I mean, the summer regatta is great fun. Molesey turn up en masse and camp and make a full weekend of it. But great to see another club like that from a different part of the country coming down here.
I think it was also great to see clubs of that size fielding 2, 3, 4 8s. Like it used to only be a few years ago that you'd have even Leander would pull out 3 8s, and then you'd have like Brooks and Newcastle 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th sometimes, but no other club would tend to get close. Yeah. And then we saw today. I mean Vesta, for example, pulling out 7. Like there's so many clubs that went down today with their D, E, F mates. It was a massive shock to the system. I think, where do you think that puts club rowing in the UK at the moment?
Well, I'm hoping to see it just growing and growing, and at all levels. It's great. Of course, it's great to see people like Thames Rowing Club who are, really pushing the standard of club rowing. But it's great to see the rowing is not just about winning at the head of the river and winning at Henley Royal Regatta. It's also every weekend all around the country, those sort of 500 metre sprint races through town centres, all of that kind of stuff. We want to see it all growing, and that's why it's so great to see these 3rd, 2nd, 4th, 5th boats, because these are the people who at some point are the volunteers who help young people, young juniors, all of that, and the umpires, all these people. So the more we can see that growing, the better the health of our sport is.
I think that really stands out. A crew that springs to mind is Runcorn. First time on the tideway in 19 years or something ridiculous, and an age difference of 18 to 71 all in the same boat.
Wow.
Like it's great to see like clubs like that just be like, right, we've got to get 9 athletes together, and we just got to get them in a boat, and we just got to get them to London. Like that's the only aim that we've got to get together.
That's great. The medium club, again, this is me checking on my phone, so Minerva Bath, it seems like, might have won the medium club. Which, I mean, again, that's at City of Bristol down there. They might have been able to have a bit of a sparring session with them over
University
training.
of Bristol, same stretch.
Yeah.
Like, all that type of stuff like that. They're in a decent patch of water there. You just have to get that difficulty of not being able to be within X million people of London, and you got to start looking at slightly smaller cities for your athletes that you want.
And then I think the last one that we can probably start to cover are the veterans races. I mean, obviously Veterans Head is tomorrow, so these crews might be crews that are, it just happens to fall in within the remit of their club crew, their club's second eight, so maybe they'll enter veteran because they're just all qualifying. The Veteran B, it looks like Thames won that again. Overtaking, which is the UL Old Boys, which I mean, it might have been a sort of beer boat sort of thing where it was just sort of, I know that Newcastle put together an alumni crew that was just a bit,
Yeah, I did hear that the Tyrion guys' first outing was the race. Yeah. But that's also great to see because it's fun. It's fun to see. I love this sort of alumni culture of rowing where people still really enjoy meeting up with their old mates and just going and doing it, and I want to get involved with some of that. My hands will take a beating, but I would love to do some of that.
They have a great time. I think it's a big thing. Like, you come to Head of the River, and if you're from a background like us, like, the aim is always like you're looking at the top 20, and you're like, are we in that gap? Are we in the top 5? Are we in the top 3? And like, there's so much other like rowing things going on in the community that they're like, we just want to start in 250. We want to finish in the top 150. Like, it's such a massive change in the environment. That's kind of something that British rowing's pretty good at, is just kind of expanding that size of the sport.
I think the last one I want to touch on is the Veteran D category. I think there are already 6 entries, but 3 of them were overseas, and that is obviously the first eight from that club has gone, we're going to go over and race the Head of the River, we're going to take the trailer and put a boat on it and drive over to London, and some of the veterans were sat around and go, I fancy doing that, and then let's see if I can get my mate in, and we'll just go and race. And I think that's great as well, because with these crews coming over from abroad, like, it's great for the profile of the Head of the River, it's great for the competition at the top end, but it's also so much fun to see so many crews racing.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a huge thing to see these overseas crews come over. I think you see all the British crews go over for Ratsburg, Duisburg, Ghent Regatta, the Heineken. We saw Molesey at the Heineken not too long ago. And I think it's such a good thing to see that the same happens in reverse. We're not going over to Europe because it's got the better racers, because they're also coming back here. Like, we're all at like this pretty equal level for clubs from abroad to want to come here, and clubs from here wanting to go abroad.
I think the epic thing for me is, like, 295 crews entered today, not particularly the biggest entry that we've had. I mean, that's 2,500 athletes. That's, hundreds of volunteers lining the banks. As you can see, the embankment is absolutely buzzing. Loads of people, food stalls, merchandise, everything being sold. I think the state of rowing coming out of COVID is really good. I think everyone was quite concerned when the lockdowns happened, because the Head of the River was the first event that got cancelled in 2020. And everyone was a bit worried about how clubs would fare through the pandemic, but I think it's safe to say that club rowing and rowing in general in the UK is in a very, very good place.
Yeah. You were captain of Leander for what, a year?
Yeah, 2 years. Yeah.
2 years. So how do you think the state of clubs are in the UK at the moment?
Yeah, I think it's been difficult. So I spent some time on the board at British Rowing as well, and COVID's been a difficult time because so many people left British Rowing membership during that time because number of different reasons. They couldn't row, so they felt, why should I be paying my membership? They weren't racing. But I'm hoping we can see the sport grow, and more and more people see being a member of British Rowing more than just a race license. Firstly, it's really great insurance. So if you're rowing and getting injured, you want to have that. But it's ultimately it's funding all the sort of grassroots things in the sport and the lovely community projects that British Rowing are trying to do. So anyone listening that rows but is not a British Rowing member, 50 quid or whatever, you can do it.
Yeah, definitely. I think from where we are at AllMarkOne, like, rowing's never been in a better state from what we've seen. I think the appetite for media along these events. We've got 2 live streams going today. We've got Head of the River running one, and we're running one, which is unheard of within the rowing scene. That's the type of thing you see on Formula 1, when you've got Channel 4 and Sky doing the same thing. It's great to see the sport grow so big. And again, we've got our photographers out, we've got Ben Rochford out. The sport is just sucking up what we're putting out. And I think that really shows how good the sport is getting at this point. Yeah. So I think we're pretty much going to round it up then, James.
I think that's it.
That's probably about it. So if you haven't bought your photos yet, head over to allmarkstore.co.uk. It really helps us fund these type of live streams every year. We did the women's head, the schools head, and the men's head. Thanks a lot. Thanks to Jack and James for coming to join us. with their depth of knowledge, and our guests, of course, that hopped on as well. Big thank you to Cam Sperling and Matthew Gordon that hopped on earlier on. Sorry, Cam, we have no audio of Cam's part at all. It's all right, we didn't talk about much exciting stuff either. It was just me and him crying over our PA loss last year. But apart from that, I think we're going to sum it up here. Thanks a lot, lads. We'll see you in the summer season. See you in May.